Hey, the goods have arrived and I'm pretty stoked. This little Honda Monkey has been so fun to ride over the last month or so, but I've been on this goal, this aim to be able to get a higher top speed, and everything that I've read has said the 14-inch tooth Sprocket is the way to go. So we have a JT 14 tooth. I'm going to be installing that today here on the front of the Monkey. Now the cool part about doing a 14 tooth countershaft sprocket is the fact that you don't have to take your chain off the motorcycle. So you don't have to break the chain and then reinstall a master link. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We're literally going to remove this cover, install the sprocket with the words out, put the cover back on, adjust the chain so it has the appropriate adjustment, and we should be finished. This really should take about a half hour. So let's get the counter starting right now and let's get to work. We're going to go to a 14-tooth JT sprocket, and that is said to eliminate the problems or the situation that we're currently feeling on this bike. Now, going down a tooth in the front in order to increase your top speed, that sounds counterintuitive, and traditionally it would be. I mean, that's actually giving you a lower gearing. It's like going up 3 teeth in the rear. But what's going to happen with this is we're going to be able to have more usability throughout the power range. Each of the gears are going to rev up maybe a little quicker, but third gear, I've never been able to hit the rev limiter. Fourth gear is almost like an overdrive. When I hit in the fourth gear, I drop RPMs, but I cannot increase any speed by shifting into fourth gear. The hope is that by installing this 14-tooth sprocket, I'll be able to rev through each of those gears quicker. I'll be able to use more of third gear, and hopefully we'll be in that power band so we can actually get speed out of fourth gear instead of just using it as an overdrive. Now, a front sprocket installation or playing with a front sprocket is something I really like to do. It's really easy, and most all the time, you don't have to remove the chain from the motorcycle. This whole process should take about a half hour and should require just a couple hand tools. We're going to start by removing these 2 Allen head bolts here to get access to the countershaft sprocket. Going to get in here with an Allen wrench. All right, so on the back side of this cover right here, we have the case saver that's held in by the 2 screws that we just removed. Now take note that there are 2 tabs, one here and one here. Those keep that case saver in place as you are setting this cover back into place. All right, now we have this little carrier right here that holds the sprocket onto the splines. We're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 bolts. So if you have a friend helping you out with this project, I recommend that you have them put their foot on the rear brake. That's going to keep this tire from spinning, and it's going to keep you from putting pressure on the gears. Now, it's not that big of a deal. There's not a whole lot of pressure here, but it is one thing that I would do if I wasn't doing the project alone. Now I'm going to go ahead and break both of these loose and then remove them. All right, with those 2 bolts removed, we can go ahead and twist this little keeper out. So what this does, this comes in and twists just a little bit, and that just keeps that sprocket from being able to come out. All right, now we're going to pull our sprocket forward off of the shaft and remove it. So this is the difference in size that we're looking at between the 14 and 15 tooth sprocket. Now you're going to want to refer to your owner's manual to find the correct torque specs for these 2 bolts. Now it's time to get our chain adjusted. Now we're supposed to have 1 3/8 inch of free play down here. As you can see, we have more like 5 inches of free play. It's quite a lot. So what we're going to do is loosen our axle bolt here. We have a 14 millimeter on this side and a 19 millimeter on the opposite side. Now this bike is not propped up on a jack. It's just kind of leaning against the jack right now. I did that so that we would still have pressure on the suspension and on the components here. So what we're going to want to do here is loosen this 8mm bolt, and that's going to allow us to pull this axle backwards. Now that is really, really tight. So we're at this last notch here. Let's back off to the second notch. And then what we'll do is we'll bring the adjuster on the other side back to that same position. Now that wasn't so bad, was it? Now I'm really curious to find out how many miles per hour we get out of that sprocket change. Now the idea is the fact that yes, we went down a tooth in the front. That equals about 3 teeth in the rear. But the idea is the fact that we're going to be able to rev through the gears quicker and actually make more use of the power band on each of those gears. As you may have seen in my previous videos, I can get to third gear, but I can never hit the rev limiter in third gear. And then fourth gear is kind of like an overdrive. You shift into fourth and the RPMs drop, but the speed doesn't increase at all. With this improvement, I'm hoping to be able to use third gear up to the rev limiter and actually gain speed in fourth. Let's go see how this thing's gonna perform.
So the top speed on this little beast is about 50 miles an hour, but obviously getting there is gonna be a little bit slower than it would be on lots of different types of motorcycles. I mean, the fact that it only goes 50 miles an hour really isn't the hard part for me. The hard part is the fact that it takes so long to get up to that running speed. I mean, for example, the speed on this road right here is a 45-mile-an-hour road. We're doing 51, but it took us like 2 stoplights to get there. Jeez Louise. I have had a chance to ride a Grom that was slightly modified, and it definitely had a lot more pep than this guy goes. So there are some performance modifications that you can make to this little machine that will allow it to get up to speed quicker. But right now, this morning, man, watch, there it is, top speed. Ready? Dropping the clutch in first gear. First gear, 28 miles an hour. Second gear. Here it is, 45 miles an hour. Third gear. Third gear. Third gear. We're about between 50 and 51 miles an hour. And then we shift into fourth, overdrive. Not interesting. So third gear, I was not even able to get it to hit the rev limiter. Right now we're stuck at 53 miles an hour. There is no rev limiter happening, which tells me that there's more that this motor can give. Some small tweaks in order to get more power out of this little motorcycle. As I commute home on the 210 freeway on my super powerful Honda Monkey 125, I want to talk a little bit about this bike. I've been on it for about 600 miles now. I've been commuting on it for the last month. I've got to say that this thing is a pretty remarkable little machine. Well, look at that, 64 miles an hour, 65, what? Check it out. Let's go ahead and pull some footage of last week and me cruising on this same highway. I don't believe that I was pinned open here doing 60. I think it was more like 50, low 50s if I remember right. Let's go ahead and put those 2 screens up side by side. And now I'm definitely cruising at 59 to 62 miles an hour depending on how the wind blows and who I'm passing. This is a slight grade right here and we're still cooking at 59. It's awesome. We're not getting the drop down in power that we were getting before when we were running the 15 tooth. I mean, right now we're at the top of this grade right here and we're still pulling 60 miles an hour. Let's go back to the footage of that grade and I'm sure that we were going slower. 69 miles an hour, what? We're 70. Looking for 70, guys. 70 miles an hour? What in the world? Look at that! 70 miles an hour. Can't believe it. That was the best investment made on this little bike. $7 part. A $7 JT Sprocket going down one tooth has got me from 55 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour. That's crazy. It really took going to this 14-tooth Sprocket to really get the beans to come out of this thing. Man, I can't even begin to express how excited I am about the new improved performance that I found from a $7 front countershaft sprocket. It's crazy.
We've been on the 14-tooth sprocket on this Honda Monkey for about a week now, and I gotta say, this is the best $7 upgrade I have done on any motorcycle that I've ever owned or ridden. Literally, $7 for that 14-tooth countershaft sprocket, and it really brought this monkey to life. If you take a look at the first ride video on this thing, it would take so long to get to the next gear, and then the next gear really didn't hold a punch. Third gear, I was not even able to get to the rev limiter, and then fourth gear was basically like overdrive. It would just drop RPMs, but there was no increase in speed. The 14-tooth sprocket on this bike has been absolutely phenomenal as far as bringing the bike to life and allowing us to use all of its power. So now I can accelerate quickly through first and through second and through third. I can actually hit the rev limiter in third gear, and fourth gear actually has a little bit of pull. From the ride footage that you're gonna see of me on this bike, you're gonna see that I actually get this thing up to 70 miles an hour. That's almost a 15-mile-an-hour increase over the Monkey in its stock form. So the change that we made on this Monkey by dropping it down a tooth on that front countershaft sprocket, that's like giving it 3 more teeth in the rear. In a traditional application, doing that would give you greater takeoff from the line. It's going to increase that overall torque off the line, and it's going to get up to speed quicker, but your top end would suffer. We found that we did have a faster takeoff, and first and second gear got a little bit shorter, if you will, but we're able to completely maximize third gear and actually still get power in fourth gear. So for this particular application, that dropping a tooth in the front really helped out the performance and the rideability of the Honda Monkey. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care and ride safe.